Shabbat Shalom. So this week's Parsha is Parshat Vayikra, and it begins the book of Leviticus, the book of Vayikra, the third book in the Torah. And this Parsha actually is a lot about sacrifices, which we're not really going to talk about. But there was one idea that came to mind that I wanted to share with you. And it came to mind during an incident that I had about a couple weeks ago. So I was driving with someone in my car, and we were driving, and while we were driving, we were having a very serious conversation about logistics and planning and just kind of very business oriented. And then all of a sudden the passenger looked at me and said, "I think you might have gone the totally wrong way. None of this looks familiar and I don't think we're going in the right direction." And she was right. I had tried to drive without my GPS on, even though it was a route that I had driven hundreds of times, and I made a wrong turn and we were totally in the wrong place. And in that moment, I noticed a few things. The first thing I did was apologize many times. "I'm so sorry. I can't believe I did that. That was so stupid. I'm so sorry," right? Like all the apologies that we do in those moments. And then the two of us had this really beautiful moment, first of laughter, right? We laughed at what I did. And then instead of being so serious like we had been before, there was this softness and levity that came out of our conversation. She shared about mistakes that she's made. I shared about other mistakes that I'd made. And we had this really beautiful interaction and left this serious, just planning mindset that we had been in beforehand. And that made me think of this Parsha. Because in this Parsha, there is a moment that talks about what if somebody has made a mistake, and it calls for someone who's made a mistake to come and bring the sacrifice to the temple, to the Beit HaMikdash, and it says, "Nefesh ki techata b'shgaga," a person, or a nefesh, more of a soul that has made a mistake. And when I first thought about that, it almost seems a little punitive. Why are we asking somebody who's made a mistake to atone for that? They didn't intend to do whatever they did. It was just an accident. If we ask people to kind of atone for all of their accidents, what kind of message is that sending? Is that sending something that it feels very harsh? But then as I was reflecting a little bit more about it, I actually was thinking that maybe what the Torah is doing, or one way to read it, is that it is setting us up for a place, an opportunity to take an accident and to make it a moment to beautify and to sanctify and to have meaning. So instead of just saying, "I made a mistake, it doesn't matter, I'm just going to move on," can we take that moment and come to the Beit HaMikdash and say, "I did something, I didn't mean to do this, and I do feel a little bad," right? That is our natural instinct, is when we have something that we've done that we didn't intend to do, we still apologize. We usually don't say, "Well, I didn't mean to break the plate, so I'm not sorry for it." We still say, "I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to drop that. I didn't mean to make this mistake. I didn't mean to call the wrong person," or whatever it is. We still apologize when we do it. So here's a setting where it's okay to apologize. It's okay to alleviate that feeling of guilt that we might carry. There's a space for that. There's a structure for that. And then secondarily, there's an opportunity to elevate this mistake to something beautiful and sanctified. And so I'm really glad nowadays that we don't do that through a sacrifice. That's something else. But I think we still have this opportunity to take our mistakes and notice what good can come out of them, or decide to make some good come out of them. There's this children's book that I've seen called Beautiful Oops, which is all about if the paint spills and you're making a project, then now look at it with a new lens. And do you see now that there's an elephant that's come and made itself known through the design of the paint spill, right? Or if the paper tears, then what can you do with it to make it into a beautiful oops, rather than just something to feel regret, shame possibly, and to throw it out. And so I wanted to see if this week we can think about and reflect on, have we had moments in our lives where we've made a mistake and really actually something beautiful has come out of that mistake? Maybe we needed some time to apologize first, or feel a little bit of regret. Maybe we needed to kind of get rid of any embarrassment we might have felt from the mistake, but then can we notice the beauty that came out of it, or the opportunity that came out of it because of that mistake? Can we have a moment where we acknowledge beautiful oopses within our lives? And as we go forward into Shabbat, may we also be able to take any mistakes that we might make in the coming days and weeks as we're preparing for Pesach and beyond, and turn any mistake we might make into a beautiful oops. Shabbat Shalom.